Richard Crouse.
Tell me a little bit about working with Michael Caine in London. Daniel, who I spoke to yesterday, tells me that Michael Caine is the only person in England that everybody loves. That he's this icon because he came from the streets and has achieved great fame, and he's 77 years old and shows no signs of stopping. His work now, honestly, I think is better than it's ever been.
Yeah.
So tell me, how do people react to him, or did you get a sense of that?
Oh yes, I think he's just supremely admired and loved, and people feel that both in awe of him, like he's an icon, but at the same time he's somehow accessible, and that's an amazing combination, to be a big movie star, but for people to feel that they, know you somehow, and that you're a good bloke, and that you'd be a good person to have a pint with, and that's how I think he's perceived in England. It was amazing because we were working on the same estate that he grew up on.
Right.
And, a lot has changed since then, but, I think that was incredible for him. I think that was a sort of inspiration for him. But also that, there's a big wall in the Elephant and Castle with a big painting of his character in Get Carter on it.
Jack Carter.
Yeah. and he, there were moments when this, the 76-year-old Michael Caine would walk past this wall in projects in the middle of like real degradation with this iconic image behind him, and it was just fantastic moments like that. But we'd hang out a lot on the set with the guys from the estates that were often playing extras in the film, and talk to them, and he was very, he was just so wanting to talk to these lads, wanting to understand what their lives were like now and compare with his youth, and they all just got such a kick out of hanging out with him.
Well, he told me that the difference between growing up then in the Elephant Castle and now is that he had a really strong family unit and there were no drugs.
Yes.
And he said that's, primarily those are the differences.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's probably true, and for some reason I don't know the ins and outs of, and I think nobody really understands quite why this gang violence has reached such a peak. But it's something, I think, to do with a lack of identity, people feeling that they don't really belong anywhere and they don't know who they are. And this feeling of being part of these gangs makes them, gives them an identity and
a place to belong.
Yeah. And it's sort of heartbreaking when you think about it in those terms. And, the alternative is just sort of aimless wandering about in, sort of just degrading, impoverished circumstances with no hope for the future and nothing to do, and, lots of drugs and, and so this for them, you can see why the choice to become, a gang member is actually makes sense,
Right. What do you hope people take away from Harry Brown?
I hope primarily they're entertained by Harry Brown, and I think that a great part of that will be due to Michael Caine and to the sensation of having kind of all of us have sort of grown up with him and seen him in so many guises, but he's always recognisable and he's always Michael Caine, and there he is again, still being Michael Caine. But what's fantastic is that he's in this very gritty, independent movie, and he kind of riffs on his persona in his persona in other movies. In this movie,
I thought of Harry Palmer and
right,
Jack Carter.
Exactly, and you see it happening. You see this. He kind of becomes that. It's almost like the Incredible Hulk or something. In one, go from one frame of the movie to the next. He will go from being this kind of bent over old age pensioner with an asthmatic old guy to this badass kind of killing machine.
When he shoots the guy that sells him the gun in the drug lair, the squad, I thought that's Jack Carter.
Right,
That's
exactly,
totally Jack Carter.
exactly.
Yeah.
But it's so great that he goes in and out of
Yeah,
that, and that
yeah.
you get to see the two sides. I mean, I think it's sort of an inspiration for 76-year-olds, 77-year-olds everywhere. You know, that you can be so badass and still be 76 or whatever. And I think that there's something just very brilliant and very entertaining about his performance, and something that will sort of really register with people, and especially with his fans. But also, I think this is an auteur filmmaker who really understands, you know, the medium, and has made a really exciting, fresh feeling film, and it's going to be exciting for audiences to discover Daniel, I think, as well.
No, I think so too. I mean, the opening moments of this film are quite something. They really are very arresting, and
Right.
they grab me straight away.
Right.
You know, and then I think we're done. Come on in. But I think, you know, when then you meet Michael Caine's character in it, and I grew up watching him, and you see him. We're just chatting more than anything now. But I was just always amazed at that. You know, he's a 76-year-old Michael Caine now, and then I walked into the room, and it's like he sounds like Michael Caine.
I know.
Like, you're so familiar with him
I
that
know.
when you meet him or see him again, it seems very familiar.
Yeah,
you know?
and so it's so. I mean, I had that constantly in the movie, just sitting talking to him in the scene, and just thinking, I can't believe that voice is being directed at me, and those eyes are looking at me, and I'm, you know.
It's really quite something. Well, I found, you know, I kept thinking of that Madness song, you know, I'm Michael Caine. You know,
Exactly.
there he is.
My name is Michael Caine.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Nice
Lovely
to see you
Emily.
again.
Yeah, we'll
Take
see
care.
you.